So here's the problem. I have been editing photos for well over 10 years, and Lightroom has been the backbone of my editing for a long time, which isn't a bad thing, but to be honest, I've been needing a fresh inspiration, something new, something to actually make me feel like I'm enjoying the editing process again. And that's where Luminar Neo is coming into today's video. I'm actually really excited. I've been testing out this product for a month now. Skylum reached out and asked if they could sponsor this video, and I thought the timing was perfect, to be honest. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys how I edit using Lightroom and Luminar, because it has a really easy plugin that attaches to Lightroom. And I'm going to show you some of the really powerful tools that Luminar has. And if you guys decide that you want to give Luminar a try, I'll leave links for you guys down the description below. So we're going to start by looking over on the right side of the panel here. So these are a whole whack of tools that you guys can use. And in the develop section, this is going to look very similar to what we use in Lightroom. Up top here, we have a waveform, which I'm going to use as I start to make my basic adjustments. And so as I up my highlights, shadows, those types of things, I want to make sure that I'm still retaining all the details. So by clicking these tabs up in the waveforms, I can make sure I'm not going to be losing any details in my whites or my blacks, those types of things. And when you see you go too far on your blacks, you can see it peaks on the screen there. So we're going to make sure we retain all the information there and make sure we get a nice looking contrasty photo. As you open and close the tabs here in the develop, you can see that you can adjust the curves. You can do a lot of similar things that you would in Lightroom. And so nothing here is really surprising. But where I want to get to is if you right click any of these, you can turn them into your favorites. And when you put those favorites, they're going to come up to the top right panel. Now, what's really cool, and the tool I've used the most so far is actually this Enhance AI tool. The difference between this and let's call it Lightroom's auto feature is this actually does a really good job of enhancing your photo in a really cool way. So as we drag up this Accent AI bar, and I'm going to do it really extreme so you can see what it does. Honestly, to me, that really makes the cars pop and look good. I might drag that down just a little bit, but to me, there's nothing like wrong with how it's edited that photo. And if you just look at the before and after between a little bit of develop and the Enhance AI, this does a really, really good job. So I'm pretty thrilled with this Enhance AI tool. And oftentimes I'm starting with this, and it's really, really cool. If you want to enhance the sky, you can as well. I find that that sky enhancer tends to bring down the highlights and add saturation, which I don't love a ton. I personally tend to be reducing saturation in the skies, but you can see what that does there. The second tool is the color tool. This is kind of where you can go and do those more minute adjustments to your colors. It's also in the develop panel. So this is where you'll also see your HSL panel. So you have your hues, your saturation, and your luminance adjustments. So this is where I tend to come in and do some of my adjustments to the colors. So I'm actually going to desaturate the blues a little bit here. The car still looks really good to me, but I'm looking at the sky as well. Now, if I wanted to, I could also just go into the masking. Every single panel has its own masking adjustment. So you can come into the color panel. We could mask that. We could hit AI mask. It's going to assess the photo, and then we could select the sky and then go back and make those adjustments just to the sky and the blue there. So if we wanted to do that, we can. And in fact, let's do that. Once you click out of a tab, and this is a little bit different, more like a Photoshop type layer feature. Once you've clicked out of that adjustment, it comes over to the edits tab up on the top right. And you can see what we've done here is we've enhanced, and we can come back and adjust this layer specifically. We can come back to the color and we can adjust that specifically as well. Another tool that I've found to be really interesting in the color panels is when you come in here and there's actually this remove color cast. So I'm actually going to drag that up. And what I've found that that's done, sometimes it takes that color cast away from the pavement or from the windshields and those types of things. So I've actually been using that tool quite a bit to kind of remove some weird colors that I don't love. So I'm going to do that as well. This next tool is the one that caught my eye the most and is actually really cool and saves me steps that I used to have to do several steps in Lightroom. This makes it just one step and gives you some really cool adjustment features. So they have this new feature called light depth. And if you look on the far right side of the panel here, we're just going to up the amount. I'm going to go an extreme amount so you guys can see actually what it's doing. Then we're going to adjust them as we go. So if I up the amount here, you can see that what it's doing is essentially creating like a spotlight on our car. Now, what I would call the equivalent of this in Lightroom and what I do in almost all of my photos is adding masking to the bottom of the image and to the top of the image to draw our attention to the car. This feature is essentially doing this for your photo automatically. And you can see on the right side here, you can drag this light meter, this spot essentially, wherever you want in the photo. You can adjust the softness, which will soften out some of the details in the shadows. Now, if you go down into the advanced setting tab there, you can adjust the brightness near, which again, this is like that graduated mask that you would put on the bottom of your photos. And so I'm going to adjust that to be a little bit darker so it's drawing our attention to the cars. And the brightness far is going to be doing essentially what's behind the photo. And I find that I don't actually like that one to be down as far. I'm going to actually put that kind of back to normal. And then we're going to go back to our amount and we're going to drag this back down so it looks more normal, so to speak. But this feature I've used not only with my automotive, but in like portrait work. And I find that this is like a really, really cool tool to just draw attention and your focus to your subject. And you can do this to taste, but to me, it's just one of those hacks, so to speak, using, I don't know if it's AI, but it's just a really fun and intuitive tool that allows you to draw attention to your subject. Another tool that we tend to use in automotive content creation is sharpness and clarity. Now in Luminar, we have this structure. So this is essentially clarity. And again, I'm gonna boost the amount so that you guys can see what it does. And it essentially is adding that clarity. It's adding a lot of detail into the front bumpers, into the cars that you really do want, but you have to add it tastefully. But what I'm gonna show you is how I use the structure tool and the masking tool to enable it to just focus on the cars. I don't actually want the whole image to be adding clarity. So I'm gonna go over to masking. We're gonna do object select. And then from here, we can start to select our subjects and we can add different masks. So here we can just go over these and it's doing a pretty good job of picking our subjects. And from here, you can continue to brush things in or out based on what you want clarity to add to or not. So once you have your mask set up, the AI does a pretty good job. You can then select your boosting amount and you can see now we're just adjusting the details on the car itself. And I find that adds a little bit more detail, sharpness, and even looks like it's doing a bit of like dodging and burning into the shadows there, which is kind of cool. Already with a few tools, we've been able to make this image really pop. So as I go into this final tool that I want to show you guys, it's a tool that I honestly don't really use in Lightroom, but I found that the way that it works in Luminar has inspired me to use this tool a lot more. And I don't know really what it is. It's maybe the simplicity of it. Maybe it's the way that they've designed it in their program, but I use it a ton now. And so I'm going to hit Vignette and I'm going to, again, drop the amount so you guys can see a bit of an extreme example. And then we're going to go into the advanced settings in that drop down menu. I'm going to up the roundness. I'm going to up the feathering. And then another thing that's really cool is you can just adjust the inner light, which typically if you're doing masking, you would have to invert the image, adjust the image, create another mask. But already in here, you can adjust what's inside that vignette to add a little bit of light, because the whole point of a vignette is to draw our attention to something. And so if you can add more light to the inner subject as well, it's naturally going to draw our eye. Now, again, this is very extreme. So we're going to take the amount and we're going to drop it back away. But here you can see that as I'm at -20, I'm kind of missing that vignette and that pull to the image. So at -58, you can see here, it's doing a really good job of drawing our attention right into those cars there. So here's a before and after of the whole image. And this to me really pops. It's really bright, really beautiful. If you look into all these different tools here in Luminar, there are so many different things that you can play with that if you want to add inspiration, you could add headlights to every single one of these cars. You could add mist to the background. You can do so many things. And as I mentioned, if you want to adjust any of these edits independently, they all kind of stack as layers on this edits tab. And so you can go back into your enhance. You can adjust that any way you like. You can go into your color profiles and readjust those very, very simply. You can come into your light depth and you can adjust that positioning to whatever you want. And they all stack as different layers, which is super convenient to come back and change. The last thing you can do with a vignette that I didn't show you is you can actually pick exactly where in that image you want it to go instead of having to drag that mask around. So another really easy way to adjust that. Now in Lightroom, you can copy and paste all of these features over to your other photos, and it's very, very similar in here. You just copy and you can paste those presets, and a lot of the AI will automatically adjust over to your other images. The other thing you can do is you can create your own presets in here. So because I have a ton of photos like this, you can actually click this little tab on the bottom left and you can save this as a preset. You can name it runway, cars, save that. And then when you import photos in, or if you're just editing a whole bunch of photos at the same time, you can then come over to your presets and you can add that preset to the cars. Simply go into your edits tab and then just readjust the things that you need to. So it makes it really quick to edit multiple images in a set. So obviously there's some really powerful tools in Luminar, but what I wanted to show you is actually how I've been using this in correlation with Lightroom to bring photos over to Luminar and back into Lightroom. Because I use Lightroom so much, I've been using it for like 13 years, I tend to organize my photos and those types of things in here. So you can see I've got an Outback photo here that I'm shooting with Subaru Canada. It's really simple to bring this over to Luminar. So I'm going to right click on the image, hit edit in, and then Luminar Neo is right there. We're going to hit edit, and this is going to open up a Luminar tab. And what that's going to do is allow us to then edit this and then send it back really easily. Now, what I want to show you is all those tools that I've already used, how quickly I can apply them to this image and send it back to Lightroom. So we're just going to go into the Enhance AI tool. We're going to accent this image. It does a really good job of making the car stand out. So we're done there. I don't think I need to adjust too many colors, although I'm seeing a bit of purple in that blue. So we're going to go into our HSL, we're going to go over to our blue, and we're going to make sure that it's all looking good. So the purple, we're going to drag that over to the left, make it more blue, good to go. Light depth, we're just going to open this up. We're going to add 50 for the sake of it. Draw the light over our car, add a bit of softness. Go into the advanced settings, adjust the brightness near, which you can see really well in the snow here. It's drawing our attention to the car. Adjust the brightness far, make this a bit more natural. Look at what that does. Like, that looks so good to me. Go into our structure. We're going to add a little bit of contrast onto the car, add masking. We're going to mask a subject here. And then last thing we're going to do is add that vignette. So we're just going to add a bunch. Go into our advanced settings, adjust the roundness, feather, and inner light to draw our attention to the car. There you go, super quick, and then I'm done. Honestly, I can go hit apply. That's gonna bring this file back into Lightroom and already be organized there. I am done. I can flag this and move on to the next one. Now, again, if you're editing a whole bunch of these, you can save all those adjustments I just made into a preset, bring it over, and then just add that preset, which is super slick for editing. The last example I want to show you is how it works with people, because there's a ton of different tools you can use. So as you can see in Lightroom, I've done some really basic adjustments to exposure, some color temperatures, those types of things, but it's really not popping the way I'd like it to. So I'm going to hit edit in Luminar Neo. We're going to edit a copy of this photo. That's my daughter, by the way. She's the cutest thing in the world. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go over to Enhance AI. We're going to hit accent here. And again, that's just making this, I don't know how it does it so good. Like, it just is picking the right things to accentuate. It's not overshooting the skin. It's just kind of picking the right stuff. So here's a good example of what Sky Enhancer would do as well. I'm going to leave that around half. So even just the before and after of the Enhance AI is just, it slaps. It's great. I'm not going to change the color. Let's use light depth here and see what it does. So we're going to just drag this over. And I love that you can see us in like the back right corner. You can see where it's lighting. It's just like super cool design. Add some softness. And then here you can see it's like helping us really pop out of the image. And that's just like a really fun tool. Again, typically I would be drawing masks and those types of things, but I find this to be faster and intelligent and looks great. I'm not going to add any clarity on this one, but we'll do a simple vignette here as well. Choose the subject on us, advanced settings, add roundness, add feather, and help that inner light pop up there. Boom. And then same before and after. it just is popping. We can just hit that apply button. That'll send it back to Lightroom and we're good to go. What it does is it allows me to look at different images and say, oh, I can use that light depth tool on this, or oh, I want to add fog, or I can adjust the way that the sun is shining in this photo. And it gives me more ideas and inspiration that Lightroom frankly doesn't offer me, and tools like Photoshop can offer you, but Photoshop's really complicated to use. And even though I've been using it for many years, I still haven't invested deeply in it because it's quite intimidating. And Luminar Neo is not intimidating. It's very familiar, easy to use, and you're able to add a lot of things that I typically wouldn't think to add in my standard editing structure, if that makes sense. But let me know what you guys think. I don't know if you guys are stuck in the same way of editing your photos. If you are, maybe this tool will give you a little bit more inspiration. Thank you, Skylum, for sponsoring this video. I've actually really enjoyed using this tool and this app. If you guys want to learn more on how I edit my photos or the journey of being an automotive content creator, feel free to subscribe to the channel. It would mean a lot to me. You might like that video there. And I do hope that I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.